Coming up on Mountain News this morning, if you haven't filed an extension for this year's tax season, you only have a few more hours to file. And Governor Andy Beshear reveals how much he earned last year, as well as a few gifts he was given for serving the Commonwealth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Chas Gayhart. It is 6:01 on Tuesday, April 18th. Let's go back over and check in with Brandon.
It's just like one of those, like,
Not much to say.
I'm just going to stand here and look at you. It's fine. Listen, I'm not with it today. I'm going to have to, here, let me get some of this. And, all right, now we're good to go.
Now.
All right, yeah, it's a little bit on the chilly side out there this morning, but otherwise we're in pretty good shape. Again, not a whole lot of frost, but some patchy frost. Just be careful out there. Give yourself time to scrape those cars off if you see some, warm them up. All right, Lake Cumberland first. Let's head on down that way to Pulaski County. Not a whole lot of action down that way as you head out the door this morning. But again, some chilly temperatures across the region. 37 in Somerset, 38 London. Jacksboro went back to sleep on us this morning. 34 in Jonesville, 33 in Grundy. 48 though, Prestonsburg, Pikeville, and Logan. So some of those higher elevations a little touch warmer. Kind of got a ring of 30s around the region out there this morning. So just again, watch out for some patchy frost. 32 in Cincinnati across the river, 48 Knoxville down south, 51 in Nashville, 48 Bowling Green, 44 Paducah, and Carbondale, Illinois. Breakfast forecast for you this morning. We're going to be seeing temperatures in those 30s to 40s. I think they're a little bit warmer in spots than we forecasted this morning. Had to back out the forecast a little bit because of that frost advisory, but I think it got as cold just yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the next hour or so. But again, just kind of keep an eye out, and we will keep you posted. More on that forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Chas?
Thanks, Brandon. Well, if you haven't filed your taxes yet, today is the last day to do so if you don't have an extension. WYMT's Olivia Calfee spoke with an assistant professor at Eastern Kentucky University to get some insight on what you may need to know if you're still working on getting your taxes filed.
If you still need to file your taxes, Eastern Kentucky University Assistant Accounting Professor Laura Barthel says as you begin your filing process, it is important to have your documentation on hand.
It's your W-2, your any investment reports, or anything that shows that you've had taxes withheld. Those are really important because you want to let them know that you've already paid that tax in.
She also says to have personal information for you and your dependents.
You need social security numbers for yourself, date of birth. For the dependents that you may be claiming, you want to make sure to have their social security numbers and their birth dates.
So what is the biggest mistake that most people make when it comes to filing their taxes?
The biggest mistake that I see is that sometimes people miss expenses such as child care expenses. So if they've paid for child care, that's something that they can use as a credit on the tax return.
And lastly, to avoid scammers, it is important to keep in mind that the IRS only allows certain people to sign off on the tax return.
Signing off on the tax return has to be a CPA, an enrolled agent, or you're getting it completed at one of the IRS free tax sites. So whether that be VITA or I think the AAA site, those sites that are IRS certified, or an enrolled agent or CPA.
That was Olivia Calfee reporting. Barthel says she recommends visiting the IRS Free File site, which will assist in filing your taxes. If you're looking for extra help, you can find a link to that site on our website, WYMT.com. And yesterday, Governor Andy Beshear released his 2022 income tax returns and financial disclosure. It shows his gross adjusted income was just more than $194,000, which includes his salary as governor and some stock dividends. He also disclosed he received 3 gifts traditionally given to the Kentucky governors: tickets to UK football and basketball games and a membership to the Frankfort Country Club. Governor Beshear says he also got tickets to the Breeders' Cup, a Louisville women's basketball tournament game, and 3 pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, which has a facility in Simpsonville. Kentuckians impacted by last month's severe weather may have more time to replace food bought through SNAP benefits. Many households had to throw out food following widespread power outages caused by historic windstorms in March. Governor Beshear says the federal government will replace food purchased with SNAP in 31 counties. That includes 3 counties in the viewing area: McCreary, Wayne, and Wolf. You can learn how to apply by contacting the Department of Community-Based Services using the number on your screen. The price of a gallon of gas has jumped 21 cents from just a month ago. That's what national analysts are reporting. AAA says the national price of a gallon of gas is $3.67 a gallon. Here in our region, prices range from $3.27 to $3.39 in Hazard. In London, gas is right around $3.30 a gallon at several gas stations. In Pikeville, gas is about 10 cents higher, roughly $3.40 a gallon. American Electric Power appointed a new president to Kentucky Power. Cindy Wiseman served as interim to start 2023 before becoming the full-time president. The move comes after a terminated deal that would have moved ownership of Kentucky Power from AEP to Liberty Utilities, and after recent weather-related issues put a lot of strain on power companies. Wiseman says she's confident those experiences have better suited her for the position.
Extreme cold weather that we had in December, and then a month of windstorm in March. And so we're looking to calmer and warmer days ahead.
Wiseman says they plan to work on rate structures that better benefit customers. With a medication shortage happening across the nation and with viral illnesses still running their course this spring, how are local pharmacists dealing with this? Wes Huff, who is the pharmacist in charge with Pharmacy Care Center in Hazard, says that navigating a medication shortage on top of illness spikes can be stressful. But luckily, there are numerous over-the-counter medications like Tamiflu that can help alleviate any issues.
Some of these medications just can't be replaced. You know, if you got the flu, you know, people recommend Tamiflu or Zofluza or something like that, and it's pretty well in stock. But if you're just kind of, we always stay hydrated, you know, take ibuprofen, Tylenol, whatever you need to knock your fever and stuff like that.
Huff says along with antibiotics, the pharmacy has also seen shortages in blood pressure medications and pain medications, but have still been able to make ends meet. We're continuing to take an in-depth look at the work being done at the Sanders Brown Center on Aging in Lexington. The University of Kentucky Clinic runs trials that lead to groundbreaking discoveries, but researchers are running into a problem. They say there's a lack of diversity with their trials. Kristen Kennedy talked with researchers about what they're doing to bring in more people of color.
Project No One Left Behind. We have some educational pieces here that we get from the National Institutes of Health.
Keisha Jones is showing us one of the hundreds of folders she hands out at presentations. As the head of recruitment of clinical trials for Sanders Brown, she is trying to reach more people of color.
This is my people, you know. Now we're gonna talk, we're gonna talk about those things and those hard questions and those hard conversations.
Talking about dementia and the trials necessary to advance research on it can be hard. There are historical barriers.
There's been some mistrust with the medical community and especially with the research.
Tuskegee and Henrietta Lacks, those are some of the things that a lot of us know about, where those practices were not protecting human subjects.
There are also economic barriers.
There's certain things, certain social determinants of health, like access to doctors, access to medications, availability of fresh foods that can contribute to one's health, and those things do play a role in the development of vascular dementia and Alzheimer's.
Part of Angela Holloman's role at the center is to identify those barriers for minorities.
If they're still working or caring for young ones, time can be an issue, transportation can be an issue, or just knowing that these resources and the clinical trials are available.
Identifying barriers is her first hurdle. Bringing in more patients is her second.
Can you tell me the percentage of people of color that are participating in studies at Sanders Brown?
In our longitudinal study, we have about 15%. Clinical trials is going to be much lower.
We want to be able to make sure we're not excluding ourselves in medicines that are being developed. We don't know what really works for us if we're not involved.
Jones is a caregiver to a loved one with dementia. Holloman also knows the disease personally.
My great aunt passed away relatively recently. She had vascular dementia. I also had a great uncle who had vascular dementia as well.
We all have grandparents, we have aunts and uncles, we all have someone that we know that has potentially been affected by Alzheimer's disease.
Project No One Left Behind is an 18-month initiative that Jones is positive will bring the percentage of trial participants of color well above today's 15%.
Medications affect different groups differently. So we want to make sure that they're being represented and being diverse. We want to make sure that our clinical studies are diverse.
At the UK Sanders Brown Center on Aging, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Sanders Brown is always looking for volunteers and donations.
6:11 here on this Tuesday morning. We continue to track some pretty calm conditions. Now today, a little bit later on, it's going to warm up. We're going to see some breezes. Fire is not recommended for anything. Don't be doing any burning today. We are under a red flag warning there for parts of Pike County and then going into West Virginia and Virginia, but I can tell you it's dry everywhere. We're still going to have that breeze today. So until we get some noticeable, significant rain, let's hold off on the burning, okay? US 119, US 23 at Jenkins Mountain. Things fairly quiet over there this morning. Temperatures kind of a ring of 30. So from Ashland through Moorhead, Irvine, Somerset, Middlesboro, London, Manchester, Harlan, Jonesville, Clintwood, and Grundy. Those are kind of the ring of 30s. Just the other few spots are in the 40s. So some patchy frost is a possibility out there this morning. Give yourself time to get those cars warmed up or scraped off before you head out the door. Now your day planner for today, heading up into the low 70s. Temperatures will climb quickly with that sunshine from 35 around 7 to about 72 by about 5 o'clock this afternoon. Chas?
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up next, authorities in Alabama continue to search for the one responsible for a deadly shooting at an event meant for celebration.